Well, I'm really looking just automatically. Yeah.
And her mom is extremely happy that she's there. So thank you to Nick for arranging her airfare and car to get her there. And she has called me more times than I can count. I ran out of figures since she's been gone. Worried about every one of you. Make sure you tell them, send them my love. She will be home on Monday, and I assure her that it will be sunny and no snow. She did a lot of visiting before she left, and if she didn't come see you, she probably called you. One thing, and Jen's sister, who's going to do the People's Prayer, has the list of the people that she had gone to see, and the people I was included in the service. But just let you all know, Mary Jane Laws is out, and has been out for a few weeks. She has the shingles. So she's not doing too well right now. And all of our love and sympathy and concern to Peg, whose mother died this past week. And the people in the Sunderland Church who have lost two stalwarts of their church in the last few weeks, with Marshall and now with Free Event. Does anybody else have any announcements they need to make? Sue?
I just wanted to thank everybody for all their prayers for Bruce. He certainly needs them, and please keep on praying, like I said to Chris Wiley this morning. Pray harder, please, because it's not easy for him, and we still have more problems to face within the next couple of weeks. So thank you very much.
Kathy?
Just a reminder that our stewardship recipe book is up on the back front, wherever that is, over there by the table. And just check your name, take one and check your name off. It looks like we may have extras, so we'll willingly give them away. And we want to make sure that everybody gets at least one. If you don't want yours, say you're not a cook, like sort of me, I'm sure you know somebody who would appreciate your giving it to them.
Judy?
The quilters will be meeting this coming week on this Friday coming up because we got snowed out on last Friday. And if you need directions, if you're new and you haven't come before, just let us know and we'll tell you how to get to Irene's. And the other thing is the Serendipity Shop is experiencing some attrition right now, and we need some new volunteers to help out down here. It's really a simple job. It's only a couple hours a month, and so if you're interested in helping out, let me know.
Brenda?
I also want to say that Karen Damon, who I had on the prayer list for a long time, passed away this week also. And that's why I'm just asking for prayers for her family now.
Okay.
I want to thank the deacons for the flowers they sent to me on behalf of the church, so you need to see them. Their farmhouse will be really beautiful, and thank you for all your prayers and words of comfort.
You're more than welcome. Especially want to give a big thank you to Joshua, who is stepping in for his mother today, and will be talking to us, I think, about his upcoming or past trips to Israel, I'm not sure. But thank you very much, Joshua. We appreciate it. Kim?
Also, some people may already know, but the pastor of the South Deerfield Church, Jeremiah Ruth, has resigned this week, and today is his last service.
Yeah, we'll keep all of them in our thoughts and prayers and see how much support we can give them as they try and figure out what they're going to do from here on in. We've been having a struggle for a while. So if nobody else has any announcements, hymn is number 8, Joyful, Joyful, We Adore Thee. This has nothing to do with anything, but before Brenda starts playing, somebody lost a silver earring last week. And if it's yours, it's up here on the pulpit. the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all.
And also with you.
It is good to sing praises to our God. God heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds.
God turns the number of stars, giving all them their names.
Great is the name of our Lord, the Prince of Peace. The Lord lifts up the downtrodden and answers all who call.
Praise the Lord, now and forever. Amen.
We always felt really good about having gone there. We know that we really helped out the people there by giving them something to enjoy. And I think that sort of is what church is all about altogether. You know, I think that we find strength in being together, and we find the strength and the reason, and we push each other to do the things that we know are right, and things that we know we want to do, but maybe don't do if we're left up to our own devices. You know, you may not ask your mom to drop you at the Cozy Corner on a Saturday, but when you go in the context of Sunday school, you all go and you support each other, and you did something really nice for the residents at the Cozy Corner. And just like that, when we need things done in the church here, we often gather as a group to do it. Can you imagine putting on a dinner or the pancake breakfast or doing the pie sale with one person had to do it? I mean, it would be impossible. And so by sharing together the work, we can make something that would be impossible or difficult to do as one person, something that is easier to do with more people and is a lot of fun. So I just wanted to share that with you, trying to remind
especially considering it was under, less than happy circumstances due to its passing. And she wanted me to pass on her condolences to you as well, Peg. Let me just see. She wanted me to let you know of the visitations that she did on Tuesday before she left. She went to visit Bill Whitmore and George and Barbara Bolden and Clarence Rose and Martha Arenstam, and she also was able to see Rita on Tuesday before she left. And she wanted me to pass that along to all of you, and she just wanted me to say thank you, and if there's any others to be added to the prayer list or taken off the prayer list, or joys or concerns to share. Okay. We just have a moment of silent prayer. Dear Lord, we come before you this morning with joyful thanksgiving for the ways your love is reflected in our lives, and with humble hearts seeking forgiveness for the times we have strayed from your path. We ask for your healing love for those whose names we bring before you and those whose names we do not know. Please be with us today as our rock and our Redeemer. And if you will join me in reading names on the prayer list, I realize I just did that backwards, but should have done this first, but that's okay. God's still listening. Okay, we pray for Jimmy Anderson, Martha and Marshall Arenstam,
Jean Walter, David Bryson, John Nealon, Dee, Carol Duray, Eric, Paul Gagnon, Dick Gaylord, Phyllis Dunn, Ruthie Dunn, Claire Mann, Denise Salmon, Jeremy, Donald Klein, Larry and her daughter, Mary Marco, Mary Jo, Angela Massey, Paul Vince, Judy O'Brien, Madeline O'Connor, Bud Rose, Mary Salamita, Samantha, Charles Sisler, Marshall Pedro and family, Bruce Thompson, Bill Whitmore, Louise Brown's family, the Bolger family, the Anderson family, Karen David's family, Ruby Bennett's family, and Southwick Church.
and if you will please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
good morning. We have much to be thankful for, so please open our hands and hearts to God for this morning's offering.
Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint and strengthens the powerless. Even youths will faint and be weary, and the young will fall exhausted. But for those who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
From Romans chapter 8, page 919, Bibles, verse 31. If God is for us, who is against us? He who did not withhold his own Son, but gave him up for all of us, will he not with him also give us everything else? Who will separate us from the love of Christ? Will hardship or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor rulers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord.
Matthew 5, 3 through 16. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how can its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything, but is thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hid. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under the bushel basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. A short time ago, I was having a spacious conversation with a friend of mine, and we stumbled into the topic of growing up. We're both in our 30s, we have lots of joy in our life, but we were both lamenting the loss of certain aspects of our childhood, the feeling of not having so many responsibilities, the time in our lives when we didn't have to worry so much about balance, when we could just do things because they were what we wanted to do. I was reminded at the time of 1 Corinthians 13. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I became an adult, I put away childish things. I brought the passage up since it does offer me some degree of comfort through rationalization. It is inevitable that we will put away aspects that made us children, and that's a natural part of growing up. We become more aware and gain wisdom through our experience. Acceptance of what we can't control helps us move forward. That being said, over the past week, I've come to a deeper realization. That is, we put away too many childish things. We put away too many childish things because we oversimplify what it means to grow up. Just because we do something as a child doesn't mean what we did then was childish. In fact, some of the things we do as children are the most valuable lessons we ever teach ourselves. A couple years into my teaching career at St. John's Grade Academy, I was having lunch in the dining hall at the faculty table. The tables are amongst all of the lunch tables. It's not a separate dining area for the faculty. With 400 plus people eating lunch together, it's a rather loud cacophony of conversation, even if people aren't shouting at each other. The faculty table I was at was positioned near the tray return, which was a large window with a shelf about 2 feet high. Behind the window, a couple dining hall workers hands would show only when they reached to pull one of the trays back into the washroom that lay behind. You could not see their faces. As I sat there eating, talking to my friends, I saw Matt, one of the boys I lived with in the dorm, walk to the tray return with his tray. I knew Matt rather well, as did most of the faculty. We knew him well because, well, he was kind of a jerk. He certainly had many childish things to put away. I watched as the students in front of Matt put their trays on the carousel and casually walked away without a thought. When it came to be Matt's turn, he slid the tray all the way back into the washroom, leaned under the short window, and clearly and cheerfully said, "Thank you." Matt looked silly and completely out of the ordinary, hunched over, off balance, leaning into the washroom area. He was surrounded by peers who were doing all their best to fit in. Matt didn't care what he looked like. He recognized the value in what people were doing behind the barrier, and he didn't hesitate to say thank you, to say a real thank you. To be more accurate, I don't think Matt actually processed what he looked like. He knew what he thought was the right thing to do, and he did it. He committed a simple act that made someone's life better, and also helped him to know his neighbor, even when it would have been much easier to just keep walking by. When we become adults, we worry too much about being embarrassed or acting silly in public. We worry too much about being uncomfortable, and that discomfort sometimes keeps us from making the right choice or fully committing to what we know to be the right course of action. Feeling silly and strange and goofy and weird are things we should not put away. For the past 2 summers, I've been traveling to the Middle East to work at Ultimate Peace Camp, a residential summer camp which serves to build bridges of friendship, understanding, and fun for youth from different social and cultural backgrounds from around the world through the sport of Ultimate. The summer camp lasts for 2 weeks and brings together 175 teenagers from 3 distinct populations: Arab Israeli, Jewish Israeli, and West Bank Palestinians. Each of these 3 populations have almost no regular day-to-day interaction. We don't talk politics or religion at camp. We play Ultimate and participate in a myriad of other traditional camp activities that you all would immediately recognize. Every minute of every day, we live out the camp's 5 core values of mutual respect, nonviolence, friendship, integrity, and fun. Towards the end of last summer, we held the annual camp talent show. Acts ranged from how many shirts can Coach Kern put on, a disc freestyle, to traditional dancing, poetry, and singing. After the performances were over, the kids and coaches were given a certain amount of free time, and I found myself talking to Asma, one of the young counselors in training. I got to know Asma well over my 2 summers. We had worked together on the field coaching, and she had been one of my translators. Almost everything that we say at camp has to be translated twice because everything we say has to be said in 3 languages: Arabic, English, and Hebrew. During our post-talent show conversation, we got to talking about our plans for the rest of the summer post-camp. I told Asma that I was looking forward to visiting many Ultimate Peace communities. These are villages where Ultimate is played year-round. And I was also particularly excited to visit some of the families I had gotten to know in the West Bank. Around that time in the conversation, Asma asked me, "Why are you here?" I responded that I wanted to teach Ultimate, that I loved Ultimate, and thought through Ultimate a better world could be built, and it could change lives. Asma paused, and she asked, "No, really, why are you here?" I was slightly taken aback, since it seemed like Asma didn't believe my answer, which was genuine, and I thought was a good answer. She asked again, "No, really, why are you here?" And during my pause, and I knew that Asma was not trying to offend me, so I thought, I looked inside and I responded what I was thinking. I was surprised with what I found, which was that I'm here because I want to know this place, I want to know this region, I want to know this people. I am here because I want to understand. To that, Asma answered, that, I believe, is a good reason. As children, we love to ask why. I think we can all remember times in our lives as children when we would stand in front of our parents and ask why. And yes, our delivery may be, at the time, a little off, and our articulation might not be very smooth. But we were trying to better understand what we were doing based on our desire to understand what our parents were saying. We wanted to hear directly from those people. We wanted to be communicated to from those we were trying to understand. When we grow up, we become too smart for ourselves. We base our actions and interpretations on our experiences, and yes, that is what makes us who we are, but our lenses become clouded. We start asking narrower questions without truly realizing the degree of our prejudgment. As children, we could listen without prejudgment because we had no basis from which to judge. Listening without prejudgment, as Asma did, is something that we should not put away. The Middle East is the most complex place I have ever been. Nothing seems to be straightforward in the West Bank and Israel. I live by the phrase, you don't know what you don't know, and never have I been to a place where that is more true than the Middle East. Now, permit me to condense what could be months and months of classes into a few sentences, not parsed for the perfect language, and instead focused on wording that will make the most immediate sense. Around 20% of the population living in Israel is Arab. These are citizens of Israel, and they are not Jewish. Since the founding of the modern country of Israel, national Israeli athletic teams have participated in many international sporting events. Very few, if any, of these teams have had any Arab members until now. The Israeli National Youth Ultimate Frisbee teams, and there are 3, are now comprised of about 30% or higher Arab Israeli citizens. This is a big deal. The national team uniforms, which are adorned with stylized versions of the Israeli flag, the centerpiece of which is the Star of David. The Star of David is a polarizing symbol in a region so pockmarked with partitioned populations. For several of the Arab players on the Israeli National Youth Ultimate teams, wearing the jerseys was an incredibly complex decision. On the one hand, they were ecstatic to represent their country on the international stage. On the other hand, they knew some people inside their communities would not take to wearing the Star of David lightly. They did not take to wearing it lightly. The players thought deeply. They came to the conclusion that even though they may not 100% agree with the path they had to take, that they had decided to take, that being a member of the team, representing their country, wearing the jersey, was how they were going to move forward. And how they were going to move forward was with purpose, passion, and integrity. The path would not be easy, but they would embrace it with all their heart. When we leave childhood, we can become stubborn, self-righteous, and selfish. We can lose sight of the big picture even as we espouse and claim that's exactly what we're focused on. All too often, we lose faith in others, and our ability to trust and compromise is diminished. Finding and living out true compromise is something we should not put away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child, but when I grew up, I put away childish things. Yes, but at the same time, we need to make sure we don't put away too much. We need to remember Matt's lesson to walk out on limbs if it's the right thing to do, Matt's lesson to show appreciation and say thank you. We should remember Asma's lesson to listen without any prejudgment. We should remember the Israeli Youth National Team's lesson of finding and living out compromise even when it's hard. If we do, we will come to love our neighbors all the more deeply, and the world will be a better place. In my continued efforts to love my neighbors, I'll be traveling back to the Middle East next month. I'll be spending the majority of my time in and around the area surrounding Jerusalem, where I'll be visiting schools to learn about math programs, teach ultimate, and fold origami. While in Jerusalem, I'll be also visiting one of my favorite places in the whole world, the Western Wall. 2 summers ago, on my first visit to the Western Wall, I began a personal tradition of folding cranes and adding them to the foundation of the wall. For each of my prayers, I would fold a crane and place it into one of the seams running between the massive boulders that make up the massive walls. I invite you to join in on the tradition. At the back of the room near the illuminated case, you'll find pink paper. I invite you to write anything you want on as many of the sheets of paper as you'd like. Afterwards, please place those sheets of paper into the blue folder next to the paper. Next month, I will take all the paper that I collect, bring the sheets to the Western Wall, where I will fold them into cranes and add them to the foundation. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. When I grew up, I put away childish things. I learned to fold as a child, and I made a conscious decision not to put that love away. Because of children like Matt, I strive to be silly and goofy and take risks. Because of Asma, I push myself to ask why. Because of children like the ones on the Israeli national youth teams, I live to find optimal solutions, even if living those solutions is hard. I hope you do the same. The hymn of closing is number 485, This Is My Father's World.
fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Amen.